Okay, a couple of people weren't able to see the smartboard quick preview I went through the other day, so I'm gonna just show you a couple of things in here. This is the software that comes with smartboard, which is Notebook, and there's a couple of things to be aware of. There's tabs over here on the right, and the first tab is kind of like in Google Slides or PowerPoint where you have multiple tabs. You can just add pages if you want. You can delete pages right there. I'm going to be on page 1. The next tab down, I think about it like when you add clip art. So if I search for something like frog, you'll come up with some folders. Pictures are basically just that, pictures. One thing to know about pictures is you can rotate them. You can resize them. You can hit this drop down box and do things like clone them, which is, just make another one. Cut, copy, and paste. You can do infinite cloner, so if you want to pull a whole bunch of them out, that's how they would work. I'm going to take my infinite cloner off. You could lock them if you didn't want them to be able to move or drag anywhere else. See, these other ones I can move, but that one I have locked, I can't move. You can order, or you can flip them left or right or up or down, and you can also set the order. So if I want to send this to the back and I move it up by another one, it's going to be behind it. Okay. Other things within that gallery feature, that interactive ones mean that it's going to do something when you click on it. So if a student would come up and click on it, this one makes a frog noise. I don't know if I have my volume on so you can hear that, but that's what it does. There's other interactive ones, like I use dice a lot. So I'd go to interactive and I might throw a couple of dice out there, and I might go to the pins and put a times in there, go back up to the select, have the kids roll the dice, and they'd have to do 3 times 2 and say 6 or whatever. I also use the timer in here fairly often under the interactive. So I go over there, throw that timer out there, and you adjust the time to whatever you want. Let's see, we want 3 seconds. You have some features within there. I'm going to make it a bell sound, and then after 3 seconds it'll count down and the bells go off. Okay. These dice and other interactive features have things you can go in under too. If I click up on it and do the settings or the gear, you can change the dice around. Oops, I'm on some other things behind here. Let me go to a new page and grab the dice again. So there's a whole bunch of other interactive things in there, but if I grab the dice and look at it, you can add multiple dice. You can change the dice. Well, actually that one's not letting me change it, so I have 3 dice now. You can change it to text. You can customize them if you want. So there's a lot of different things you could do with them if you wanted to. So, and then when I click them, it rolls all 3 dice at once. Down here in this particular version, you can do a lesson recorder, which is nice. Some people like to use that for recording lessons for subs or anything like that. Other things up here, this is the screen shade tool, which means, if you want to put something up there and hide a portion of it, you can. Get rid of the whole thing like that. This is if you want to add a table. Couple of features with the table is you can actually go in and, if you want to type in some information in there, and then let me click click out of it, click back in. You know, if you wanted to add a cell shade to that particular cell, you know, you can click it so it's viewable and then hidden after they answer something. You have some measurement tools that you could use if they are useful for you. Here's the pins. So you have all these different pins that you can use. I'm going to grab a new page again. One thing that it does do, whether you're using the pins that come on the smartboard or just writing it like there from my mouse like that, I can write like that, and then I can highlight it with the, this is your selection tool, and I highlight it, and I can go to recognize, and it'll turn it to font. So you have all these different kinds of colors of pens, and you have even more color choice there, and your line choice, and how transparent you want it to be. If I go back to pens, you have different pens. You can do highlighters and all that. The magic pen's kind of interesting because if you just do like a line with it, this line will appear, and then it'll eventually just after a certain amount of time will just disappear. And with that same magic pen, if I do a circle, it'll make a highlighter. So I can, whoopsie, I was going to show you how you can expand it, and you can somehow you can move it around too. I wouldn't say I use it a ton, but there's a way you can just grab it and move the highlighter, or move the highlighted area around. If you do you got to do a pretty good box, and then it'll do a magnify feature. Maybe it's the magnify you can move around. I was having trouble moving that highlighter one around. Or the spotlight around. One thing you want to remember, especially if you have pens selected, is to go back to the select tool. Otherwise you might have trouble with writing over the top of things. This one's, you can just do a variety of different shapes, and again you can color it and do things. One thing with the shapes that you can do, you can grab the fill button and you can fill in the shapes. And if I go back to the select tool, I can actually rotate and expand and do all that stuff with it. I can hit just delete to get rid of that stuff. They do have some regular shapes in there, so if you want to do a 12-sided shape, you can just put it in there. This is if you just want to be able to type something. And just like with Word or Google Docs or any of those, you can change the font and the size and the color and the orientation, all that stuff. These are just some different lines that you can use, and lines are a lot like any of the images you can put in. After you put them in, you can click the select and make some changes with it, and move them however you want to. I'm gonna grab a regular pen again and just put a bunch of gibberish on here. So if I go to the eraser tool, you can just erase it if you want. You can change the size of your eraser, and you could also, one thing I do more than anything is I draw a big circle around it, and then I tap in the middle and it'll erase it all. Actually, I don't even do that much. I just grab a new page a lot. The other thing, always remember to try to go back to that select tool. There are some over here, well, it might be on the edge of your screen. There's a customized toolbar feature. You can also get it by just right clicking up here. Oops, oh, there it went. Okay, and these are just some other things that you could add to your toolbar if you want to. One of the things I had already added was the copy screen, or what is it called? Screen capture. And I just took it out, but I'm going to go drag it back up there again. So if I wanted to be able to pin a page, I could just go grab it and add it in wherever I want. Okay, and I did that by just right-clicking on the toolbar and then moving it up there. If I want an internet browser available, I can just move that up there. The screen capture tool is a pretty cool tool. I use it fairly often. You can capture whatever you have on the screen, much like screencasting. So let's say I go over here and I decide, well, I want to be able to go to our class and capture something to show where the people added an assignment. It'll take a picture. I'm going to send it to a new Smartboard page, and then when I go over there, it's there. And I use this especially when I'm going through like websites and stuff, and I want them to click on something specific. I can use that. I didn't want that last arrow, so I'm going to click the undo. So that's a quick overview of things you can do with Notebook. There's a lot more than that. Another feature they have in there is the Smart Exchange, and we'll be doing that next week. And I also put an icon in there for it. But in the Smart Exchange, if I would click on it, you can find all sorts of resources for whatever you're doing. I'm a grade 3 teacher. Let's say I want to do some ELA stuff. I could search and see what other activities somebody has already made. This one's on Main Idea. I could take a look at that, and if you like it, you can download it and use it. So it's being slow, so I'm not going to waste my time with that right now. But that's some of the features you can do with notebook software that is often used with smart boards or interactive boards. So I hope that helps.